It's Tuesday. Surely nothing's happened. Yes, I'm wearing red, but it is a Spain top, not Arsenal. I'm a grown-up. It doesn't matter. Let's get the elephant in the room talked about, because I literally just said to Perchi, I was speaking to him backstage, literally said, who's going to be the first childish person to go, oh, he's wearing red. Oh, God, he's wearing red, a grown-up. Anyway, good morning. It's Tuesday. Nothing could have happened in the world of Spurs, right? But it has news about Spurs getting a ban by UEFA, or fine, should I say, from UEFA. We've had talk about finding a new director of football. We're going to have a look at the leading candidates that are apparently Winstanley of Chelsea and Dougie Friedman, obviously, of Palace and now in Qatar. Or Saudi, Saudi, I believe he is, isn't he? Al Duria or Saudi, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, someone will change me. And also on that note, you've got you've got Daniel Levy apparently did insert relegation release clauses in these players' contracts. Good old Levy getting us ready for relegation, isn't he? Old Levy. He's gone, but never forgotten. Lubo's chairman. Don't take my word for it.
My chairman.
Lubo's chairman putting in relegation release clauses and to safeguard Spurs against relegation. And it's sensible in hindsight, isn't it? As I said, I don't think we are going to go down. I don't think we're going to go down. But stranger things have happened. In 2 days, we play Crystal Palace at home. Now, normally you go, oh, it's a home game. Good. Right now at home, we are dreadful, aren't we? 2 wins in the whole Premier League season, right? At home. So where do we get the wins from? We'll talk about all of this. Obviously, could you please expose the relegation clause in layman's terms? Do you mean explain it? I can't expose a relegation clause. But is that what, Wesley, if that's what you mean, I can explain to you what the relegation clause is in the players' contracts, if that's what you mean. Good evening to anyone who's in the other side of the world. Good morning to anyone who's on this side of the world, and good afternoon to anyone who's somewhere in the middle. Guys, girls, what I'm going to start by saying is some of the behavior I saw in chat rooms the last couple of days has been absolutely disgusting. I will not put up with that in my chat. I will block people threatening each other, people going for each other, people goading others, and clearly not just wanting to talk football. I will be blocking people. I do not stand for that. So please keep it clean in the chat. It's honestly, you would think it's football talk, and the number of people that can't just have a football conversation is getting crazy. Yes, Wesley, I can explain. So what football clubs do is they ask the player and the agent to insert a clause in their contract to say if they get relegated, that their salary will be reduced. Now, that could be reduced by 10%. That could be reduced by 50%. But what they're doing is they're safeguarding the club, knowing that they won't be able to afford the wages. So, for example, if I'm a footballer and I go and sign for a football club on 100 grand a week, they will put a relegation salary clause in my contract to say, if we go down, your salary changes to 50 grand a week. And that is to make sure that they can afford the salary. So 100 grand a week is roughly £5 million per year, right? So what they're going to do is try and bring that down in accordance to be £2.5 million a year. So they're trying to bring the salaries down in line with the revenue that's being made. If you're making less revenue, you can afford less wages. So that's why clubs do it. Now, not all players are going to accept that. Not all players will have that in their contract. Not all clubs will do that because lots of clubs will think they're not going down, right? Lots of clubs will think they are not going down. Listen, dude, I'm going to say this from the get-go. You've been getting nasty for days and days to everyone, right? Your behavior last night was disgusting, right? Your behavior on my show the other day was it was speed fire. You just constantly calling out Perchy, calling out this person, calling out me. And then what you do is you hide behind, it's my opinion. Everyone's attacking me. No one was attacking you. I have removed you as a mod because last night you ruined for me. I was a viewer watching the Spurs 5. I'm watching the boys put on a good show, and you single-handedly ruined the chat. You then got a 5-minute timeout to calm down. You came back and you went again and again and again. My mate Chris is saying to you, calm down. Just stop. Talk football. You're going, he did this. He did. Mate, I don't know what's going on. We all have shit going on. I get it. So I'm not going to block you, but please calm down. Talk football. And I would like you to, if possible, please apologize to my boy Perchy because you are being so nasty to him, calling him a Savva minion. It's ridiculous, Destiny. I saw the things you were saying about me. I was in the chat all night. I only joined in for a little bit. I saw the things you were saying. So just calm down, right? Calm down. I know it took 2 of you to tango last night, but just calm down. Honestly, it's really not worth it, is it? It's football conversation, right? It's football. So just calm down. Yeah? Just calm down. Please, just calm down. Thank you. But I have removed you as mod because I can't have my mods being the way you've been lately. I feel like you're pent up with anger for something, and I get it. But it is what it is, right? Just relax. It would be great if you could. I saw the comments you then started posting on my YouTube channel about Perchy. I won't have it. Absolutely, Perchy's one of my good friends. I will not have that at all. Yeah. And you're meant to be a grown-up. Calling people minions. Absolutely ridiculous. But you have apologized. We move on and we get to football. So Tottenham, Palace coming up. Atletico Madrid coming up. There's going to be a summer window coming up and lots of talk about new directors of football. Now, new directors of football. Now, this is interesting, right? Because Johan Lang, Savva looks like, listen, I play like Iniesta as well. Very talented footballer. Johan Lang is still at the club, right? Whatever we think, Johan Lang is still at this football club. Now, there's reports Lang will go in the summer, yada, yada. But we also know that Lang's kind of right-hand guy, or he is Vinay's right-hand guy. So are we going to remove Lang? Is Vinay going to remove Lang? Is Vinay going to stay? I don't know. But what we do know is that Matt Law posted this yesterday, one of the stories in the Telegraph, and it was thusly, which I think is a word. I hope thusly is a word. I don't care. If it's not, I'm using it. Anybody in the chat, let me know, is thusly a word? Hope so. Said Tottenham step up sporting director hunt. Checks made on Winstanley, of course, of Chelsea, and we'll have a look at him in a minute. And Dougie Friedman of ex-Crystal Palace. He's now in Saudi, I believe. And then it says, among others. Could be anyone, right? Could be anyone. It says, new man could have say on next permanent head coach. Also, and in a different story, also, Tudor could be boosted by the arrival of a right-hand man. Now, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Now, it's difficult, right? I am somebody who has very much advocated that this club don't just need a new manager. We talk about this all the time. I've got to the end of my tether of thinking just a new manager. I'm not there. That's over in this box. I'm not there. I know many of you are there. Yes, thusly is a word. There we go. My parents did send me to school. I'm not there. So in this box over here, I'm talking about, sure, we've got to hire a manager because right now we've only got an interim. But you all know what I've said for a very long time. For me, it can't just be a manager. It's got to be alongside a sporting director, director of football, head of football. I don't care what the job title is, but someone that's given the keys and said, right, go and implement something. Go and implement. And I'm of the belief that until those two things happen hand in hand, that nothing changes, right? Now, the question is going to be, by the way, dude, you're on your last warning as well, by the way. I saw what you said about me in the Spurs 5 chat. Again, you guys have eyes. By the way, anyone that goes in and mugs me off in other chat rooms, I have eyes. I can see. And that is one person. So there are people that are very much, and I took some screenshots of things that people said as well. So this all depends, doesn't it? What are we bringing in a director of football for? Now, yes, everyone needs a director of football. But if we're going to bring in a director of football that's just going to give the same watch, right? If I'm going to bring in a director of football that's just going to be under the same remit as what any of the other directors of football have been under, then again, I don't care who it is. Now, obviously, I've got no personal way of knowing that until you get them in and we see what the owners have planned. However, the owners for the last however many years have truly shown us what they are about. So it's not a huge leap of faith to say, well, nothing's going to change, right? It's not a huge leap. Okay. But if you are bringing in somebody and it's, hey, this is going to be a new setup. This is our guy. This is what we're implementing you for. I'm all for it. But will it change? Will it change? Like many of you, we've been burnt year after year. This change, that change, this change, that change. But it never really results in the main change at the top. Now, as I said, backstage, I was just having a chat with Perchy about this. We said, let's just, for example, you bring in Winstanley or Friedman, and we'll look at them in a minute. Don't worry, we'll bring up their profiles. If you are bringing in Dougie Friedman, for example, and you are saying to him, right, all we want to do is buy young players for the future. Fine, cool. Dougie Friedman has got a good reputation for doing that. Fine. But as a Spurs fan, do I want to see my club just buying more youth players? Not really. Now, if we have a look, some of the players that Dougie Friedman bought in, so he bought in Eberici Eze to Palace. He bought in Michael Elise. He bought in Adam Wharton. He bought in Mark Guehi. Now, that's all great, but he's not signing those players. Now, obviously, you wouldn't because he's at Palace, but it's not like he's the guy responsible for bringing in those players when they've made it to that level. He's brought them in here and the club have developed them. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Every club needs that. Spurs need that. But the question's going to be, is a Dougie Friedman someone that can do it at the bigger level? Now, when I say the bigger level, I'm not saying we're a better club right now than Crystal Palace, but the expectations, the hopes, the revenue, the stadium, everything about Spurs is higher than Crystal Palace, right? If Crystal Palace finish mid-table, people are happy. If Spurs finish mid-table, well, maybe not this season, but if Spurs finish mid-table, people lose their minds. So there's a huge difference, right? So, dude, just calm down. I feel like you're starting to get a bit silly. As I said, just calm down. You're starting to get a bit silly. No, I didn't say that confirms we're getting the next Eze and Elise. I said that is what Dougie Friedman, that is some of the players that Dougie Friedman has brought in during his time at Crystal Palace. Just calm down. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Look, and this is a really good point, right? Is the Dougie appointment not a sign of where we are, though, in terms of realism? We are a lower-end mid-table club these days. Now, this is the difficulty, right? As I was saying, Luke, if the owners truly want to go and bring in someone and say, our remit in the next 5 years, we want to challenge. The next 3 years, we want to challenge. Now, again, pinch of salt, just go with me. We want to challenge in the next 3 years, right? Then I would expect them to go out and get a best-in-class director of football that will start bringing in top players. Now, have they got the capability to implement that? Have they got the black book of contacts to implement that? Have they got the pulling power? Have they got the ability to change their MO and implement that? We're going to find out, because so far, we haven't seen that at all, have we? So far, we have not seen that from them. And it's been many years, hasn't it? This isn't like, oh my God, he's had a year. They haven't done that. They didn't back Ange. They didn't back Frank. They didn't back Poch. They didn't back Jose or Conte or Nuno. So that's a good point you bring up there, Luke. That is a really, really good point. But let's have a look. Let's start by having a look, shall we, at this is Dougie Friedman. Let me just see how big that comes up on the screen. We could go a bit bigger, couldn't we, than that? Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so this is Dougie Friedman, right? You can see here that this is him as an assistant manager, a manager, and as a sporting director. Now, we can look at some other things in a minute, right? Let's have a look. So you can see here that at the moment he's at Al Daria. Now, I don't know anything about them. Let's have a look. I don't know anything about them. They're in the Saudi First Division. I don't know what he's done there. I don't know what he's not done there, but he's at Al Daria. Now, I'll be honest, guys, and I slightly, oh God, what's going on there? I slightly worry as to if Dougie Friedman's that good, why did he go out to Saudi? Why were no Premier League clubs taking him? Now, I don't know. Maybe somebody did want him. I don't know. But you can see there from his profile that he was at Crystal Palace from 2017 through to 2025. Now, that's quite a long time for one person to be at a football club. Now, I don't know. I don't use this so often. I'm just trying to see if there's a way I can find all of his signings at Crystal Palace. I mean, I don't really need to, right? Because I think we can do it off the top of our heads. Let's have a look. No, I don't know if purchase players will be just as a manager. I think that will be as a manager, won't it? Yeah, that's just going to be as a manager. But what we do know is that he is responsible for players like, as we said, Guehi, Eze, Wharton. I mean, you look at players like Munoz. You look at players like Mateta. So this guy did oversee some very, very good signings. But if Spurs went out and signed loads of 19, 20-year-olds again at that level, are the fans going to appreciate that? Are they going to sit there and say, well, that player is the next Guehi like Palace brought through, or Eze like Palace brought through, or Wharton? I don't know. Now, it puts you in good stead. For me, I would like to think that it means someone like Dougie Friedman will be bringing better players than Archie Gray, Bergvall, Odebertel. I would like to think that. But again, how much remit would somebody like a Dougie Friedman be given? Would he be given the keys to the castle, or would he just be somebody else that has to pull the strings? I don't know is the answer. I don't know. We'll see. Now, the next one is Paul Winstanley. Now, I'll be honest, guys. I'm just going to be brutally honest. I don't mind these guys, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that any of this gets my pulse racing, right? I'm not going to sit and pretend that any of this gets my pulse racing. When I talk about directors of football, like yesterday, Sean and I had a show where we talked about who could come in. I'm looking at the likes of Mitchell, Ralph Rangnick. I'm looking at those sorts of people. I'm looking at the sort of people where you go, yeah, go and show us. Go and show us that you want best in class. Go and show us that you want people that are, that have really done it at a top level. Now, Paul Winstanley, we know he's at Chelsea, right? You can see that Paul Winstanley has been at Chelsea since 2022. And his contract runs out as sporting director in 2031. So he's still got 5 years there. Before that, though, what does fill me with hope is he was head of scouting at Brighton. Now, this is what Sean and I were talking about yesterday. This is two very different types of football club to work at that both have very different remits, don't they? They both have very, very different remits, okay? At Brighton, it is a well-oiled, well-run machine. Good scouting. They run with the data model for most of it. They have brilliant succession planning. And again, a lot of what they do is bringing in players that are 5-10 million from Ecuador and Belgium and wherever it is. Bring them in, put them in the first team with a plan in mind. They build them up. And the next thing you know, someone like a Chelsea goes, we need him. Look how good Cucurella is. Look how good Caicedo is. Look how good Alexis McAllister. Look how... You get my point. So, again, this is one of those ones where you go, right, at Brighton, you very clearly knew what his remit was. Now he's been at Chelsea for 4 years, right? Now, Chelsea are a different beast because the Chelsea fans versus the Chelsea board, I've seen this going on for years, it isn't aligned, right? Chelsea are a football club that in the Premier League era, or let's say more important, well, even before the Roman Abramovich era, if we're honest, was go and buy superstars. Even in the days where they were buying Ruud Gullit, Gianfranco Zola, Marcel Desailly, like Mike, right, yada, yada, yada. Then the Roman Abramovich era where they're going and buying superstars. They are buying the best in class. They're giving them to the Chelsea manager and saying, go on, win. Win. No other remit. Win. Not win in 3 years, not win in 2 years. Win this season. And Chelsea with these new owners aren't in that remit, are they? Chelsea with these owners have very much gone down the route of buying younger players. Not saying they're all 17 or 18, but younger players. Esteval in the last window. Liam Delap in the last window. Garnacho in the last window. But these are not seasoned, established footballers. So it's difficult to know what is Winstanley's remit at Chelsea. You would know what it would be at Brighton, but what would it be at Chelsea? Is it the same thing, but on a bigger scale than Brighton? It might be. The Chelsea fans don't want that, right? The Chelsea fans don't want that. The Chelsea fans are saying, hey, where's my top striker now? Where's my top centre-back now? Where's my... yada, yada, yada. Hatto is another one they bought in the window, right? As a young left back, centre back. So these two options. Now, it does say in the report that Spurs are also looking at other people, but it does mention those two specifically. Now, it's very difficult, right? I can't sit here and pretend I know the ins and outs of every sporting director because growing up, we never used to talk about this sort of thing. I don't know if anyone my age or above, we never really gave a shit who the director of football is, did we? Because it wasn't really a thing. Managers bought players, right? Managers and chairmen bought players. Now, it's very much, well, no, we must have a sporting director. We must have a director of football and a man that knows the world of football. I feel like with these types of conversations, it's difficult, right? Because I find it difficult to get passionate about a director of football. If we're sitting here having a conversation about, right, Spurs are going to sign Solanke or Julian Alvarez, I can be passionate that I want Alvarez. He's a player. Very difficult to get passionate about a director of football, but this is where football conversations are going. What this also means is Johan Lang going to stay at the club in any capacity? Is he going to stay in any capacity? Director of football, youth director? I don't know. The worrying thing for me is we can all sit here and go, he's got to go, he's got to do. This club does strange things. This club does strange things every single day. So we can never say never. But this is something that's needed, right? This is needed. We have to get a director of football appointment right. We have to get this appointment right. And it can't just be someone that understands youth players, because Spurs as a squad are crying out for experience. Right now, we are crying out for leaders, for experience, for senior pros. Crying out for it. But we're not buying it most of the time. Right? This is the problem. So I don't know if any of you want Friedman, want Winstanley. It's funny because whenever you go to get somebody from another club, like look straight away now, the Chelsea fans going, oh, take Winstanley, he's rubbish. I don't know. Is he? Why? Why is he rubbish? What's his remit? What's he being tasked with doing? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is there will be this appointment, whoever it is, will be met with great skepticism, and rightly so. Rightly so, it will be met with skepticism because we've all been burnt so many times. We are like my dog, for example, right? My dog, no matter how many times I pull my dog away from things he's not allowed to eat, he will automatically want to go back there and eat it because he hasn't learned. And that's a dog, right? He hasn't got the intelligence to learn. Spurs are like that dog. We just keep burning ourselves. We keep going back to what doesn't work. And we keep doing it again. And then the fans go, what's happening? I can't believe this signing hasn't helped us. Can you not? Do you not? Like right now, what I find funny, I don't find funny where we are. What I find funny is the number of people that look at this squad and then go, I can't believe how bad we are. Can you not? A lot of us haven't rated many of the signings for 5, 6, 7 years. Why are other people confused? Like, that's my mind. That's where I'm at. When people are going, I just don't get it. He's not getting the best out of insert player. What is the best of that player? These players are better than we're seeing. Are they? Based on what? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. Now, I don't want Spurs to continually make that mistake. Now, how much respect do these people have in the world of football? We'll only ever know so much, right? This, as with anything, is going to be obvious. If a new director of football is appointed in whatever capacity, there must be a structure implemented at the same time so the two can coexist and go in unison. If not, people will get their knickers in a twist in a good way or bad way about the next manager, and the same thing will happen again. And that's the problem. That's where I find it funny. And that's where I can tell the younger fans and the older fans. The younger fans can't quite work out. Look at the Marioses of this world. They can't quite work out that when they say, we've got a better 11 than insert team, they're not working out that it's not just about having the better players. Dude, listen, you're starting to annoy me. I see all your comments. You're starting to annoy me. Right? Stop. I'm not being hypocritical. Wesley, this squad has not been good enough for years. This squad has been buying poor footballers for years. Wesley, stop. I'm going to ask you nicely, please, can you go and watch another channel? Everything you're saying now is starting to goad people. Right? Stop. If you truly believe, you are the same person that came on here Saturday and said Spurs will win the next 11 games. Right? It's chaos. It's ridiculous what's coming out of your mouth at the moment. It's like you are just verbally vomiting stuff to sound different. Right? Look at Man United's front four, for example. If right now Spurs had Mbeumo, Sesko, Cunha and Bruno Fernandes, Tottenham would not be in the bottom five. Right? Quality players allow you to not be where you are, where we are. But again, as my man Philly says to me all the time, those who don't see must feel. If they can't see how bad these players are, they must feel how bad these players are by where we are in the league and possible relegation. That's the difference, right? And I, for one, can't bury my head in the sand. I've been banging this drum for years. Forget the manager conversation for a minute. You cannot keep having transfer windows like we gave Ange, like we gave Frank, like we will give the next manager, and expect that things will be different. All it tells me is that our fans don't know good players. If you finish 17th, now you're 16th the next year, it tells you the squad is not good enough. Now, yes, you have injuries, but if your squad was good enough, it wouldn't allow you to slip that low. The problem we've got is our first 11 isn't even good enough. Don't even know what our first 11 is, by the way. And I feel more and more people are starting to come around to that way of thinking. What they do is they get excited. So Tell came on, and I thought looked lively. I didn't think he was good, actually. I thought he was lively. I thought his touch and control of the football is rubbish. But he came on, looked lively. So what they then do is go, oh, see, Tell. Now Tell's got to play. When Tell was starting games, those very same fans are going, well, how can we be good? Tell's playing. And this is what happens. It's called copium. Because we've not bought well enough, whoever is not playing becomes a hero. Right? Whoever's playing becomes the bad guy. Whoever isn't playing becomes the hero. So if a player comes on and runs around and works hard for 10 minutes, we go, oh, see, they have to play. When they then start the next game and don't do well, we go, oh, can't believe the manager started that player. And that's why, what have I been saying, guys, for the team lineups for months now? I don't think it matters. I genuinely don't think it matters which of these players start. I don't think there's enough quality in there. Now, that doesn't mean we should just lose game after game after game after game. But I'm seeing people saying, like, these people, I get sent these posts, right, from like X and stuff. And it's those kids on X that say things like, this has to be the 11 or Tudor must be sacked. And you're like, sorry, you'll say that 11. This next fan says this 11. This next fan says this 11. No one agrees on what the formation should be, what the 11 should be, the style of play. And you know why? Because the squad isn't good. Right now, at Man United, for example, you ask Man United fans what their best 11 is. They get it right now. Their best 11 is Le Mans in goal. Yeah. It is Diego Dallo, Maguire, Martinez, and Shaw. Right. It is Mainu and Casemiro with Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, Sesko, and Mbuemo. Now, maybe Ahmad gets in that conversation. Right. So, for example, United at the moment, when I watch them play, they're playing with a settled 11, and you go, right, you get what the best team is. When you look at Spurs, can any Spurs fan truly say there's an 11 where you go, that's the 11 I want to see? I can't. I see people now Sosa must play. Sure, Sosa must play from the point of view that he's a left-footed player, but I don't know how good Sosa is. Right? Some people go, it must be 3 at the back. Some people, it must be 3 centre-backs. Some people say it must be 2 centre-backs. Right? It must be 2 up front. It must be 1 up front. It's gone from Solanke's our number 1, right, as the number 1 striker, to, oh, Tudor's here. It must be Moani. To, oh, well, Richarlison battles and fights when he come on. It must be Richarlison. This is how we change game to game. These other clubs don't change game to game. They've got a plan, an idea, and they know roughly what their best 11 is. Right, Wesley, it's not the same squad. Maddison, Son, Kulu, these players aren't playing. It's a very different team. Stop, Wesley, just stop. I'm so bored of people talking about Ange. Ange was 2 managers ago. Stop talking about Ange. It's not the same squad. No. Son, Kulu, and Maddison. Let's have a look. Right, here you go. I'll tell you what, we're going to do this. We're going to do this while we're here, right? So the year we finished 5th. Okay. All right. So the year we finished 5th. Right? James Maddison got 14 goal contributions, right? 1-4. Let's write this down. James Maddison got 14. Right? Son. Where's Sonny? 27. 29. Got 29 goal contributions. Right? Kulu. Got 11, 12, 13, 14, 17. Got 17. Now, if I work that out in my little head, that is 43, 50. That's 60 GA just between those 3. 60 GA just between those 3 in that year we got 5th. Where's that 60 GA coming from now? Right? When people say this, I don't understand. People keep saying this to me in comments, going, Ange got 5th with this team. No, he didn't. This was not the team that finished 5th. It is crazy how people are not understanding this. They're not understanding this. So please, we just got to stop doing that. It's like when people say Antonio Conte would have this team in the top 4. When Antonio Conte finished top 4, Kane, Son, and Kulu got 73 GA between them that year. 73 GA. That is massive for 3 players. 73 GA. Right now, we don't have GA in this team. We don't. So we've got to... We've got to stop this. This is the same team from 2.5 years ago. It's not the same team. If you remove a team's entire strike force and goals and assists, it's not the same team. Wesley, go away, mate. Mate, you're boring me now. Wesley, you're boring me now. You've just proved my point. We weren't in Europe that season. That's why it helped. Just stop. Right? Just stop. Eh? Just stop. This is common sense. When you remove goals and assists from football teams and don't replace them, you're going to struggle. Now, I'm sure many of you saw my video yesterday about what happened to Spurs since Kane and Son came out the team. This affects every team, by the way. You remove top goal scorers, goals, teams are going to struggle unless you replace. Even in a strange way, look at Newcastle. The strikers they've signed are decent, but are not as good as Alexander Isak. They're not scoring as many. Right? So I just wish... I agree, Gary. I completely agree with you, Gary. There are so many fans that don't seem to know a good footballer anymore. The attributes that I'm seeing now for players being praised aren't even football attributes. Oh, but he's strong. All right, cool. He works hard. Okay. All right. None of, it's crazy. Of course they do. Of course our players get rid of the ball because they're not ball-playing footballers. When you buy people that don't necessarily like the ball, and when I mean like the ball, when they're not players that are competent with the ball at their feet and under pressure, that is what happens. That is why a lot of lower-level football will be like hot potato. Lots of long balls, lots of direct play, because the players aren't capable of getting on the ball. And that's what Spurs have put together. We've put together a squad of players that aren't capable of retaining possession. And then you get fans, as I said, you get fans like that Marios going, I just want to see attacking football. Sure. Then buy players capable of attacking. Buy players capable of possession-based, retaining the ball football. It's not rocket science. I don't feel like any of this, what we're saying, is radical or crazy or, oh my God, you think you're no, this is common sense, right? I watched Palace the other day in a game. They lost the game 1-0. I can't remember, it was 2. They lost the game 1-0 that I watched. And I remember thinking, God, they played well there. And I remember thinking to myself, Adam Wharton just controlled it. Adam Wharton was at the center of everything that Crystal Palace did well. Why? Because he's a ball-playing midfielder that wants the ball. We haven't signed that. None of ours. Now, you can bring one of them in, then you put your Gallagher as a box-to-box next to him and your Simmons as a number 10 in front of them. But unless you buy players that are comfortable on the ball, that's not going to change. It's really not going to change. Look at Tell, not comfortable on the ball, right? Richie, not comfortable on the ball. Sarr, not comfortable on the football. Spence, look at when he's got the ball, really lackadaisical. And for me, this isn't, as I said, this isn't rocket science. This isn't rocket science. I don't feel like when I say these things over and over again, I don't feel like I'm saying anything where you go, oh my God, Savva's unearthed knowledge that no one else has got. We all see them play. Surely we're all watching them and we know what a good player is, right? Surely no one's looking at that 11 that lines up against Fulham and thinks this should be beating Fulham. I didn't. Right? That's the difference. People are going, oh, we can't retain the ball. Sure. Sure. But that's what you get when you bring in Bergvall and Sarr and Gray and Basuma and Gallagher. This isn't their game. You can have one of them in there with a ball-playing midfielder, but that's not their game. Their game is not to retain possession. So when Tudor sets us up against Fulham with a two-man midfield of Paulinho and Basuma, one is a 6 and one is a box-to-box number 8, and then you're going, right, why haven't we had possession? Why haven't we created chances? I don't know why fans are surprised. Like, I don't know why they're surprised by it. So when I see fans, this is what frustrates me, I think. When I see fans say things like, just attack. Sure, but to continually attack, repetitively, you need to have a well-oiled, well-drilled team that understand patterns of play, that keep possession of the ball. It's not rocket science. And again, we're going to see this against Palace. Because guess what? I'm going to let you all into a little secret. But promise you won't go and tell any of the other YouTubers. Promise me, and I'll tell you something. Between the Fulham game and the Palace game, Spurs wouldn't have signed a ball-playing midfielder. Spurs wouldn't have signed any proper wingers. Spurs wouldn't have signed players comfortable on the ball between Fulham and Palace. I don't expect much will change. What needs to change? Because it's not going to be the ability overnight. And this is what I've said for years. When all these people want to praise these individuals that have come in, there's the Archie Gray crew, the Adogi crew, the Sarr crew, the Bergvall crew, the Odeberg crew. There's the crew that fight for Mikey Moore and the crew that fight for Bergvall and the crew that fight for Richie. And when you've got people continually not understanding that these players are so far below what top half Premier League teams need, they're never going to understand why we are the mess we are. Pundits are now starting to come out this season and realize, aren't they? This squad isn't good. I'm seeing more and more ex-pros and pundits that are actually now saying, yeah, this isn't a good squad. Whilst you've got so many Spurs fans in chat rooms going, can't believe we're bad, can't believe we lose. Really? You can't believe it? Why are you not believing it? Those same fans are the ones that will pick on, who was it the other day? That Eureka going, oh, Kudus is shit. Look at Kudus compared to the players that are playing right now. We need to give our heads a wobble and understand what a good footballer looks like. Now, the key word there is footballer, not athlete. A key footballer. Good touch, good control, good movement, good IQ. Gets the ball, moves it. Right? We don't have that. We had that. We had a Modric, we had a Carrick, we had a Dembele, we had Van der Vaart. You had Keane, Cranshaw. You had these players, the Berbatovs, the Sheringham's, the Kanes, the Allies, the Erics. You had these players who were all footballers. Now, we've got runners. And we turn our nose up at footballers. Look how many fans. Nah, don't want Akliouche. Plays in France. Rubbish league. Don't want Akliouche. Footballer. Watch Akliouche play. Watch him control the ball. Watch him shuffle the ball out of his feet. Watch his football IQ. Nope. And that's where we are, right? That's where we are. We've got a fan base that want to belittle everybody whilst bigging up our players and then not understanding why we are poor. I can't understand it for love nor money. I can't understand it. I genuinely can't understand it. If we lose on Thursday, I'm not saying we will. If we lose on Thursday, there will be those going, I just can't believe it. Why? What? Why? Why? It's not difficult, right? Let's use Adam Wharton as an example. The very first game I watched Adam Wharton play for Blackburn, I remember going, yeah, you can play. He can play. He can play. It's in his feet. It's up there. His body position. You know a top player. A top player drops themselves into space, receives the ball on the half turn, and knows what they're going to do. And I remember watching him and going, yeah, you can play. Don't know how good you're going to be, but you can play. Look at the players we've signed. I'm still waiting to see the you can play from these young players. Still waiting to see it. Oh, but it's not their fault. It's not. Sure, I'm not blaming the young players, by the way. But this is what we've done for years and years and years and years. This is what we've done with our senior pros. We keep buying midfielders that aren't players who want to get on the ball. See again, but you get that. Worst quality squads are playing better than Spurs. Who? Who's got a worse quality of squad that's playing better than Spurs right now? These other clubs might not, again, and this is why people like Leo Matt, this is the problem, right? It's the on paper, we're better. But if you're not building the right parts, if you're not putting the jigsaw together properly, none of it matters. Sunderland. I think Sunderland have got one thing that makes them stand out. First of all, Granit Xhaka sits in midfield and dictates games of football. Right? Sunderland also have bought for a team. You look at the 11 they put out, it's mostly the same most weeks. They've built a team. Sunderland also play once a week. Sunderland have also won something like 1 in their last 8. So starting to, right? Sunderland are also riding the crest of a wave. You've got to have the right components in any team. Again, these people are not understanding it, right? Guys, who should control our midfield? Anybody? Name me a player that you look at and think should be controlling our midfield. Because I watch Sunderland and go, Xhaka's going to control that midfield. I watch Wolves and go, Yao Gomez will control that midfield. Guys, I'm going to block this guy because he's being an idiot, right? Do you know what? You don't do your homework. Wesley, you're being an idiot again. Sorry, you're starting to frustrate me, right? Let's look at Sunderland, right? Granit Xhaka has missed 6 of the last 7, and Sunderland have failed to win 6 of the last 7. That is not a coincidence. Granit Xhaka has come out of that Sunderland team injured. They have slipped like this. They have slipped like this. Let me show you, right? Let me show you the Sunderland squad. Here we go. So Granit Xhaka, right? So Granit Xhaka missed 1 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Granit Xhaka missed 6 of the last 7, and Sunderland have failed to win 6 of the last 7. The only game they won was Burnley without him. Right? He came back in the last 2 games as a 20-minute sub when they lost, and they drew against Bournemouth at the weekend. When you take the main man out of a team, look at Man City last year with Rodri. And this is the problem, right? I will say this over and 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 over again, right? It doesn't matter who you are, right? If you just go into YouTube chats and say what you think rather than the evidence, you're going to look silly. Sunderland have done really well. I think most people would have had them to go down. Right? But no, he hasn't got a point. He's actually just pretending. He's making things up. He's making things up. He keeps making things up in every show. He's just proved my point. Granit Xhaka has been missing. That's coincided with Sunderland losing. Sunderland have lost 4 of their last 6 Premier League games. Right? Right? But again, it's not about being right or wrong. The evidence is there. I've got an app, like most people have, called Flash Score, where you can go on and see every team's form, their games, who played, how many minutes. So when people go, Sunderland, sure, but Sunderland now are starting to tumble down the table, aren't they? Like most teams who come up, do well, they will naturally tumble down the table. There you go. Big up to Sophie, Newcastle fan. She is. Big up to you, Sophie. I hope you're well. So Newcastle without Bruno, played 13, lost 12 and drawn 1. Right? This isn't rocket science, is it? When you start taking out the key component of teams, and you know the funny thing is, Sophie, at least you've got that key component. Spurs don't even have it. Our midfielders don't even have it. We have not one guy. Again, just idiots saying stupid things. Why are you advocating for Paulinho? Who talked about Paulinho? Paulinho's a number 6. Listen to the conversation we're having. You can have a number 6, you can have a number 8, but you've got to have that ball-playing midfielder that controls games. This isn't difficult to understand. I'm sorry you are struggling with that. I'm really sorry you are struggling to understand that. Right? Look when Arsenal played Spurs both times this year. Look at what Zuba, Mendy and Rice do to control games. To a lesser degree, Sander Berg does it at Fulham. Right? Yao Gomez, I know Wolves are Yao Gomez is another one. He's a ball player. He gets on the ball and he wants to start things off. He wants to dictate. We don't have this. We've not bought this. I have been fighting this battle for years about a ball-playing midfielder. For years and years and years. And every window, Spurs do not buy a ball-playing midfielder. That doesn't mean... Oh, look. The idiot's back. Matt's back. That doesn't mean that we don't need other positions. Just because we need a ball-playing midfielder doesn't mean you don't buy a 6 or a box-to-box. But we never buy that ball-playing midfielder. And I don't know how many years in a row I can say, I don't think Spurs achieve anything properly until you get that. No consistency will come from a football team until you get that. You can have a cup run. You can have a spell. Until you get that, you are not going to change. You're not going to. You've got to have a guy that runs a game. This guy, see? A Locatelli. A Locatelli, absolutely. Watch Juve. Everything goes through him. Everything goes through him. He starts everything off. Whenever anyone gets the ball on that pitch, the first thing they do, they give it to Locatelli. Exactly. Players like this, a Berg, a Wharton, a Kone, a Locatelli. Exactly. We've got to buy one. We've got to buy minimum one. Minimum. We've bought a lot of players that aren't comfortable on a football. What happens? As a team, you won't be comfortable on the ball. This is just not rocket science. Do you know what? When I grew up, different sport, but I actually played street hockey for Great Britain and skates. So hockey on skates, like roller hockey, people might call it. Yeah. Sure. Okay. I don't know what you're bringing up Paulinho for. I've not brought up Paulinho today. I don't know what we're doing here. It's like people like that have their own conversation in their heads and think I've said something. Right? I'm just getting rid of this Wesley, by the way. He's just starting to annoy me now. He's just trolling. When I played street hockey, we had a guy in the team. It didn't matter. In hockey, for anyone that's played roller hockey, ice hockey, roller hockey, whatever, the players roll on and off the pitch constantly, every couple of minutes. We had this one guy that just sat in at the base and controlled everything. He was the one that dictated whether we went quick up the ice, so to speak, or whether we played it through the channels, or whether we held on to it for a bit. That guy controlled everything. He was the best player in the country by a mile. But even then, in that sport, you have a guy that controls games. We simply don't. And we've ignored it. We've ignored it for years and years and years. Frankie de Jong, someone's mentioned in the chat. Frankie de Jong, another one. Give him the ball, let him dictate. Look at Pedri and Gavi. Look at these boys. They want the ball. They are so technically gifted on the ball. They just play at their pace. We don't have it. Look at Chelsea. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez can control midfields. Arsenal, Rice and Zubimendi. Man City have the best in Rodri. But then they also have players like Reinders that can fill in that position and Gonzalez who can fill in that position. Players who are comfortable on the ball. No. Wait, no. We're not talking about De Jong. It doesn't. No, De Jong is at the peak of what we're talking about. De Jong and Rodri, they're the best. But other clubs find their version of that player. Look at Adam Wharton, right? Look at Newcastle finding a Tonali and a Bruno Guimaraes. Look at Palace found Wharton. Garcia. Yes, a Garcia. Yeah. Spurs have got to go and find their version of that. A Yao Gomez. A Stiller. An Angelo Stiller of Stuttgart. Right. An Elliot Anderson. Nottingham Forest went and found Elliot Anderson. Why have we not, since Moussa Dembele, found one? Not one midfielder we bought since Moussa Dembele is that type. Not one. This. We never replaced Dembele. You think, in the years I've been watching Spurs, right, I've seen midfielders such as different levels, but I've seen midfielders such as Hoddle, right? Hazard, right? I've seen footballers like Vinny Samways. Used to go sideways a lot, sideways, Samways, but got the ball very comfortable on it, right? I've seen Spurs have players like Luka Modric, Darren Anston, comfortable on the ball, good range of passing. Carrick, give him the ball. Let him have that little 20-yard area in the middle of the pitch where he dictates play. Tommy Huddleston, lovely passer of the ball. Lovely. Comfortable at receiving it. Good first touch. Great passer of the ball. Not a great engine, old Tommy Hud. But again, comfortable on the ball. before my era, Ozzy Ardiles was one. In the chat, people mention it. Moussa Dembele, the most recent one. Now we have gone to a team that just constantly buy runners in midfield. We have Sissoko's coming in and Basuma's coming in. Paulinho's coming in. Gallagher's. Now they're all right. That's okay. For example, when Chelsea had Gallagher was the box-to-box and they had two other midfielders with him that controlled the game. That's fine. You can't keep buying the same profile of footballer. And, you know, Gascoigne to a degree, very different, unique player, Paul Gascoigne. But again, give Paul Gascoigne the ball with two players around him. He will control it, retain possession, and get the game going by a pass or by driving forward with a ball. For some reason, we seem so against buying this type of footballer. Yeah, guys and girls, the reason why I'm not mentioning the likes of Ali and Eriksson, Madison, and Van der Vaart is I'm not mentioning playmakers. I'm mentioning more central midfielders, not playmakers. Very different. And listen, I am one of a few. I say a few. I am one of some fans that have been saying for 3, 4, 5 years now, get me a ball-playing midfielder. For example, I'm not saying we can get him, but you drop a Wharton or a Stiller into this midfield, things change. I'm not saying that's all we need as a club, but this is so vital. It's so vital that we buy a midfielder that can control games of football. And when you look at those teams, more often than not, they control games of football. I'm not saying this is the only way to play, but those teams often control games. Those teams are capable of giving the ball to that guy and just calming the game down a little bit. As I said, I said this the other day. The Leeds versus Man City game the other day was a perfect example. Leeds had a spell where they were getting on top and they were pressing and fighting and driving forward, right? And at one point, you could see the Leeds fans it was buoying them forward, right? It was getting them going. And Rodri got the ball off the centre half, and you saw Rodri turn around to the team and go, calm, right? Rodri literally got his arms, put his foot on the ball and went, calm. And he slowed it down. He slowed the game down, couple of little passes back and forth between themselves, take the sting out the game, make Leeds have to press, but take the sting out the game. Give your team a bit of possession. Give your team a bit of a breather. We don't have that. Now, I'm not saying we can get a Rodri. I'm just using him as the example of what that person does. But for some reason, we don't get it. And then this is the confusing thing. Whatever midfield we play during the week doesn't have that. And we go, these players can't pass the ball. Yeah, because you're not buying players that have that skill set. It's not rocket science, ladies and gents. Someone like Stiller. What if anyone goes and watches Stiller play for Stuttgart? What a good player. Always on the ball. Go and watch Kone at Roma. Always on the ball. They want the ball. They're good with the ball. They like the ball. The ball is their friend. We buy people that are like, right, this isn't my job. This isn't my job. Quickly, get the ball out there. Yet, when you get a player that's comfortable on the ball, not a midfielder, but when we got Kudus, who didn't give the ball away, who, okay, let me hold on to it for a bit and take some pressure off my team. Our fans or idiots go, he's so greedy. You're like, yes, but he's taking pressure off the team. Right? Grealish does that. Grealish is superb at that. Grealish takes the ball, isn't scared to take it into tight areas, isn't worried about 2 or 3 men around him. He holds it up, right? Brings others into the game, wins free kicks. And our fans, what did they say about Grealish? Not good enough for Spurs. Man City reject. He's an alcoholic. That's why when I say some of our fans deserve this, they do. They don't know a player. A lot of our fan base don't know a player anymore. They don't. They pine for these average kids. They pine for the Richarlisons, the Solankis, right? They rave about look at the conversation I've had lately about a Dougie. What? I don't know what anyone's seeing. I don't know what I'm meant to have seen in 3 years of a quality player, right? When you ask players to do things that they're not capable of doing, this is what you get. Right? This is what you get. And I've just seen a really good post. 1 second. Let me just get this. One second. Agreed. This isn't Paulinho's job in the team. Paulinho's a winner of the ball. Paulinho's there to mop up. Paulinho's there to be an enforcer. There should be a guy next to Paulinho that he wins it, gives it, and says, I've done my job. Somebody to progress the ball. Absolutely. Absolutely, Luke. This is basics. Absolutely, this is a player. Fabian Ruiz, class act. We're not getting a Fabian Ruiz, though. But what about an Alex Garcia from Leverkusen? That's the sort of ball-playing midfielder. But again, we don't do it. The club don't do it. Most of the fans don't seem to know these footballers. He can say that all he wants. He can say that all he wants. Messi said Romero's the best centre-half in the world. We know it's not true. Bang on, Jordan. Bang on, because two different profiles of player that complement each other. You've got the massive, powerful, driving box-to-box of Onana, and then you've got Yuri Tielemans, who's a little bit slower, but gets his foot on the ball and wants to dictate play and keep the passes flowing. We never seem to put two profiles together that complement each other. And sure, okay, sorry, Tony. Sure. Adogie's brilliant. Cool. Sure. Adogie's brilliant. Doesn't score, doesn't assist, can't stay fit. Defensively all over the sure, he's brilliant. Sure. Free transfer. Mark, he was a free. He was a free. It's so. What happened? Do you remember though? Spurs went nowhere near him. The second time, the first time, Poch turned him down. And then the Spurs fans going, Tielemans, we're better than that. Honestly, I will fight this till I'm blue in the face. Our fans in general don't know a player. In general, not all fans, but the more YouTube shows I watch, the more posts I see on X that are sent to me, the more I realise that fans are starting to not understand players like we used to. When I was growing up, it was drummed into us what a good footballer looked like. I don't know. Look, guys, I don't know. And I called this fun now to dare is to, because what are we daring? What are we doing? What's the plan? Sorry, guys, I know I can say it. What's the plan? What's the plan? Big up, Rob. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Really appreciate you, Rob. Very, very generous indeed. Always are. DB forever, sorry, not Rob. Thank you. Really appreciate you, my man. It's very, very generous. Luke Wardle's become a new member. Big up to you. We've got a channel member show on Friday. Feel free to drop in and join us for that. I've got a lot of shows this week. This show, tonight we've got the live score show for all of the football across Europe. Tomorrow, show in the morning, and then a live score show for all of the games across Europe tomorrow night, the Premier League in Europe. Thursday, we got the live match day show in the morning, and then a watch along in the evening, and then the members show on Friday. So we've got a lot going on this week. Big up to you, Luke. He's also come in and said, under Poch, we're an 11 plus squad players like Lamela, Lucas, Llorente, Trippier. Our old rotation players would walk in this, mate. That's a bang on. Looking right now, Llorente goes up top, Lucas goes on the wing, Trippier's at right back, Lamela plays left wing. You're bang on. You're bang on. That's how far we've fallen. The bench players for Poch would now be our best players. It's mad. Big up to you, Luke. Really appreciate that. Big up to Paul Langley with a super sticker. Really appreciate you, Paul. Very, very generous indeed. Thank you very much, buddy. You've always been very good to me, as has DB forever. Really appreciate you guys. Darren Haywood. How you doing, Darren? Said, Savva, would you take Dougie Friedman and Glasner? He picked Glasner for Palace. Also signed some good talent in it. Eze, Elise, Guay, and Wharton. Well, we talked about this at the beginning of the show. Look, I've got to be really careful. I say Glasner's not really my style of manager. However, what I have always maintained is if Spurs are going to bring in a manager and a director of football that work together, go for it. Whatever your plan is. However, when the club keep coming out saying that we want to be an attractive attacking style of play, the question you're going to ask yourself is Glasner that guy? And I think we know the answer is no. But is that a fan? Is that a comment that they come out to make the fans feel better, or is that what they actually want? Look, we know that Friedman's very good at finding those players when they're young. As I said at the beginning of the show, Darren, for me, the next director of football, again, like the manager, it doesn't matter unless they're going to give a clear remit to that director of football and let them go and run things. So I've got no problem if it's Dougie Friedman if they let him run things. Big up to you. That's very generous, Darren. And then very generous, as always, my man, Jordan. Thank you very much. Said, no one will convince me that if Gallagher had gone to a Villa in January, he would look as poor as he does in our dysfunctional setup. Bang on. Bang on. And here's the difference, Jordan, between a mature comment and a comment where people just go, Gallagher's shit. Absolutely. Bring him in, put him into his position in a well-oiled team. He is a good player. If Simmons went to Chelsea and had a Palmer playing with him, you see a better... Mate, this is the problem. We all acknowledge we've signed poorly. Well, most acknowledge we've signed poorly. Most acknowledge that we haven't signed what we need, but then most think that all these new players coming to the club can suddenly hit the ground running with no structure. Completely agree with you. Completely agree. Thank you so much, Jordan. Absolutely bang on the money, Jordan is. Clay Tinsey said, Paulinho, Gallagher and Xavi are the best midfielders we have. Not spectacular, but solid. Then had a ball player like Garcia and Akluj. Look, Clay, I agree. I want a couple of ball-playing midfielders. But then it doesn't mean you don't have your DM like Paulinho, your box-to-box like Gallagher. You have options, right? Then you've got your attacking midfielders in Xavi and Maddison. Options. We always talk, don't we, about one. Like, we didn't need a Gallagher. No, I think we needed a Gallagher, but we also needed other things. We always say we didn't need him. Why did we buy him? We need a lot. For me, we need 15 new players. But it is what it is. A 65 years said to dare is to watch others do. You're not really wrong. Does Troy Parrott get in the squad? I don't know. Whenever I've watched Troy Parrott, I'm never really impressed with his all-round game. I don't know, mate. I don't know. But again, it's going backwards, isn't it? It's just going backwards. Big up to Corey, who's become a new member. I thought you were a member anyway, but big up to you, Corey. Really, really do appreciate you. I'm not going to go forever today, guys, because tonight I've got the live score show at 7:30. And if any of you haven't watched the live score show, we don't get as many people because it's not just Spurs. Let me know in the chat. I love doing the live score shows. We talk about all football, all the results that are coming in. We have the video printer up on screen. I really, really love the live score show. I don't know if any of you guys do, but let me know. I really do love the live score show. Guys, girls, I am going to leave it there. Let me see if anyone else is live. There must be somebody. Big week of streaming today, this week. So I won't go forever this morning. Who's live? Surely there's going to be a Spurs YouTuber somewhere. No Spurs YouTuber. Is anyone live? Bear in 1 second. Let me just double check with my YouTube. Let's go to live. I can't see that anyone is live. I can't see that anyone's live. I'll send you over to Never a Foul alive. If you get there, just say Savva Raid or FHTV Raid, whatever you do. Big up the boys over there. Listen, guys, I'll be back tonight. As I said, I really enjoy doing the live score shows. Oh, hang on. Are Kate and Jimbo live? Kate and Jimbo are about to go live, are they? Okay, Kate and Jimbo. Let's have a look. Let's change that then. I can't see. Maybe I'm being an idiot. Where are they? There it is. No. That's not it either. I can't see that they're about to go live. I don't know if I'm being an idiot. 1 second. Hang on. Here it is. Yes, there we go. 3rd of March. There we go. I've got the right one. Okay. Right. I'm going to send you over to Kate and Jimbo. When you get there, please smash the like button for them. Please subscribe. Please say Savva or FHTV Raid. Much love. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.